Tuesday afternoon, very summery afternoon from Finland, where we are having like this incredible heat wave for many, many weeks. So people are going a little crazy. So, because we're not really used to it. But, anyways, and also just want to say that here in Finland, houses are not built for this kind of weather. I know in Europe you have like air conditioning and stuff like that. We don't. So it's like hot inside and outside. Well, anyways, it's kind of like living in a sauna right now. So if I start like sweating, it's just because I'm in a sauna right now. It looks like it's my home, but it is a sauna, I tell you. Anyways, so I actually today I'm doing this live to talk a little bit about money, which is an interesting topic because so much has been said about money. You've like most of us think about money every day, and it's everywhere. Everything is about money, and in Access also we have a lot of classes about money, a lot of people are talking about it, a lot of books, all kinds of resources about it. So I was also then looking at like, okay, so what can I uniquely bring to you? What tools, what inspiration, what perspectives can I bring to you about money so that it would actually allow you to look at it from a very different perspective? And that's the kind of whole thing with everything that we do in Access. We are looking to give to you or inspire you for a different perspective, because the perspective that you currently have or the point of view that you currently have about whatever it is, that is what's creating that as it is. So if you would like to have something different with whatever it is, like is it money, body, relationships, you have to let go of the point of view that you have and start looking at things from a little bit of a different perspective. So that's my attempt today. Let's see how it goes. And doing this also because I do have a How to Become Money workbook series starting in a couple of weeks. So it's also an invitation for you to that if you would like to look into this a little bit closer. But basically, so my own story with money is that I was not born with money. Some of us have that, we are born into a family with a lot of money. I was not. We were not like super poor, but we also like we had money for like food and all of that. It was all like okay, but there was never a sense that we had like enough money for what we might have wanted to create, which I guess is kind of most of us. We, no matter how much money we have, there's always this sense that you don't have enough for what you would like to create. Then often my question is that if you are not really creating or choosing what you say that you want, is it really what you want? On the surface, it might look like, yes, of course I want this, I want more money, or I want whatever it is. But if you are really not taking any steps to that direction, there is some point of view that stops you from going there, some point of view that tells you that you don't really want it, it's not valuable, or whatever that is. So anyway, so we didn't have that much money. My parents always did their best to give us, like me and my sister, whatever we desired, and they never said that we don't have money, but I always picked that up. As a kid, my point of view was always like, well, that would be great, but we don't have money for that, so I'm not gonna ask for it. I was kind of cute that way. Sometimes I asked for things, but a lot of the time not, because I knew that, well, we just don't have the money for that. So my solution to that growing up was to do everything as cheaply as possible. And I became quite an expert at getting things for free, getting them for a really cheap price, or like doing like, I did this like 4-week interrail traveling by train trip with my friend in Europe when I was 16. And I spent 300 euros on that trip for the accommodation and food, and the ticket was separately, but like for everything for 4 weeks I spent 300 euros. And to look at that is kind of like, how on earth did we do that? But we were just incredibly cheap. We slept in like train stations, ate really cheap crappy food and all kinds of stuff like that, and also stayed at a lot of friends' places. And it was really tough for the body though. And that was one of the things that for me eventually made me ask a little bit different questions, because I started noticing that the way that I was living or being with money did not create a lot of ease for my body. So, and I started looking at these things with my body like, this doesn't work, and this creates this like discomfort for my body. And then when I was asking what would it take to change it, I realized that money is what's required to change it. Like living in places that were not really that nurturing or comfortable for my body and stuff like that made me look at, okay, I gotta start looking at having more money in my life. But that came later with access. So then to jump from like maybe like 200 euros a month to making over like 1,000 was a massive jump. I was like, whoa, that was easy. Like it really just took that choice to go from like, this does not work, or this will work, and asking the house to support me. So that's one of the tools that I would actually like for you to get from this video, is that you can ask for things to support you. Or if you, for example, are looking to choose a class, access class, or whatever it is that you're looking to choose, you can ask if that thing will support you, if it would contribute to you to being able to take that class or go to that holiday or buy the house or whatever it is, or buy a ring or something that would be fun for you. And if the thing is equally like committed to you, it will support you if you ask for it. So start asking. That's one of the main tools for having more money and having a different reality with it. Yeah, so that was kind of, and then I just started for a lot of things. I started asking for the money to show up for that thing, not just like wishing that I wish I had money for that. That's a completely different thing than you going like, hey, what would it take? What would it take to have money for this? And sometimes when people ask me like if they would like to do something and they don't have the money for it, and they ask me, should I ask what would it take for the money to show up for this? You can ask that, or you can ask what would it take for this to be possible? Because sometimes we think that something takes money, but it doesn't actually necessarily take money, because you might be gifted that, or something else might happen so that you actually don't have to pay for it. So I would rather ask what would it take for this to be possible. But also, like, if asking for money is not easy for you, then I would definitely start with asking for more money so that you get used to asking money. So yeah, so that thing was a couple of years ago, and since then it was quite amazing how that choice to well, kind of the realization that, oh, I need to first choose, and then things will occur, then I will get more money, then I will get more possibilities. So then that I just started applying that to everything, and my whole like the financial reality kept like taking these jumps constantly, because I was choosing for bigger things, I was choosing for more things. And I have actually used this kind of house thing a couple times to create more money for me, because then when I moved out of that house, I purposely found something that was more expensive than what I thought that I could afford, so that then I had to start receiving more, I had to start asking for more money to show up. And that I have noticed so many times in my life, that if I'm not quite making as much money as I would like to, I have to choose something that I cannot afford. I have to choose something that is way more than what I currently have, because that will actually inspire me to create more money. And another story from that inspired me to create more money was that I once in Slovenia, I stayed at this hotel that was incredible. It was just so amazing. I enjoyed it so much that when I was staying there, and it was like quite expensive hotel, and then when I was staying there, I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. This is what I'd like to have more of. And then I started asking, what would it take to have more of this in my life? And again, I started making more money. So yeah, I guess the moral of the story is you have to start asking, and also looking at how you can inspire yourself to choose more. Because if you constantly go for whatever is the cheapest thing or the cheapest option, you will never actually push you to create more money. We think that we like when everything is kind of perfect and we feel like, well, relaxed and all of that, then we will create more. But for most of us, that doesn't really work. We kind of need that emergency, and then we will choose and create more, at least to a certain point. So that's something that I would invite you to look at. What choice can you make that would inspire you to receive and to create more money? And it's been like the thing that has constantly been there with me when I have been looking at my money situation is actually this book, the How to Become Money workbook from Access. And this is like an actual like workbook. There's some questions here that you answer, and then you read about stuff. And I have done this book probably 12 to 15 times. Every now and then I just have a sense like, oh, now is the time to do this book again, answer the questions and go through the stuff. And it's been quite incredible, the things that show up with that. I have like a special notebook where I would always write my answers, and I started doing this probably like 5 years ago, the first time when I found Access. So, and to see also in that notebook how things have changed from what it was in the beginning, and then different choices that I've made, and see the whole like progress throughout the years. So that's something like, if you're looking to really change your money situation, your financial reality, I just cannot recommend this book enough. Of course, it does require you to be a bit honest with yourself when you're answering the questions, because if you're lying to yourself, it doesn't really work. And a lot of us actually, we lie to ourselves also about our money situation and what we would actually like to create. And then secretly at the same time, we're like wishing for something different, but you won't have that different if you are not honest with yourself first. What is it that you actually would like? And honest with yourself, like, is the situation that you currently have working for you? Because sometimes you might find out that for some strange reason, it actually is. And for a lot of us, we don't choose. I knew that for me, I wasn't choosing a certain amount of money, because then I would always be able to say that, well, sorry, I cannot choose this much because I just don't have the money for it. You know, it's a great backdoor and great like excuse for not having to get to a point where you really choose to have choice, where it's not about like, can you afford it or not, or if it's right or wrong, but it's really just a choice. And that is a different conversation on its own, like how much we avoid getting to a point where we would really choose